Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I think I may have the most bullish son that we've had in 2 years, and that is that I just walked into my son's room and his elf, which showed up yesterday, by the way, his elf was on the floor. He's apparently gotten into his candy, and he found one of my XRP stickers. And so that was a sticker that I actually got at Swell. He found one of my stickers. And so I'm thinking that this elf must have zero doubt, and he's magic on top of that. If we need anything in these markets right now, it's a little bit of elf magic. So, and this is made for a thumbnail, which will be my thumbnail for this video. I love it. And my son's going to freak out because my son knows all about XRP because he's done all these drawings and everything. And so now when he gets home and sees what this elf has done, he's going to freak out and he's going to come make fun of me because he's going to say he took one of your XRP stickers. All right, let's start right here with X-Men XRP. He sent me a really good, and by the way, he's the official superhero of the Digital Asset Investor channel. Let's start with this. He sent me this, and this is from, if you can go find this at magazine.cointelegraph.com. They did a little write-up called Crypto Hold'em 2019, where they feature some of the credit cards, or I guess they're spending cards, that can be used with digital assets. I do not have any of these yet because I've been waiting on a Coinbase card because Coinbase is the biggest, probably most legit, is that the word, exchange in the United States. And I've been waiting on Coinbase to put out a Coinbase Visa that also works with your digital assets. That's kind of what I've been waiting on. And they've got the card, but it's not available in the United States yet. But if you scroll down this, this write-up goes through each card, what it does, tells you all about it. You need to go check this out. One of them is from crypto.com, and most of this stuff has launched out of Europe. The block card is another one. I have not studied this. This is it says new Litecoin Foundation partnership rolls out new card. And then a Coinbase card, which I just talked about. It's in Europe right now, but it's not in the United States. And then you've got WireX, which I think is in Europe as well. I don't know if you can get that here, but this is a really good article for you to go check out. Many of you will be able to get one of these cards. Like I said, I'm kind of waiting on Coinbase on this one. All right, let me get rid of that and that. Jim Rickards, I thought this was an interesting tweet. Jim Rickards, who is a famous guy, economist, gold bug. He's a gold guy. Without mentioning names, sorry, my best advice is consistent with this analysis. The whales are hungry. And he's tweeting this out. When COMEX Gold saw 107,000 contracts rolled forward last Tuesday, it indicated a whale with a 300-ton long position. Perhaps it knows something not in the public domain. Truth behind repo crisis. No one takes out such an extreme position as a pure punt. Now, what I want to mention in line with this is, remember what I showed you? I think it was in the last video. We showed you a tweet. I'm trying to remember who it was from, but it was a tweet where they were talking about how I'm losing my train of thought here. They were talking about how people, I think it was in China, were leaving treasury bonds and going to stocks for safety, which is the reverse of how it has always been traditionally. And we're making the point that if it ever gets to the point where treasury bonds are not seen as safe anymore because of the United States and the debt problems and all the financial problems that are going on in the United States, if that is ever seen, people may originally go to stocks, but what they will be left with really only two places: precious metals and, ready for it, digital assets, and XRP is the greatest digital asset ever created. So you just run that around in your mind a little bit. All right, moving along. This is from Crypto Deluxe. Sent me this from Grayscale. XRP. Now remember, this is the second time Grayscale has specifically tweeted out about XRP in the last 2 or 3 weeks, because I remember covering it a week or so ago. XRP has gained momentum amongst both financial institutions and individual users. Why? Learn more about XRP in our Building Blocks report, aimed to help investors of all levels better understand the digital asset class. XRP and the underlying Ripple technology stack serve as a fast, inexpensive, and secure way to make payments across the world. That's a part of their report. So you can go watch the report. I think you may have to give them your email address and your name and all that. Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29 is always busy at work, and he sent me several things. The first one I'll show you briefly. This is from apparently this is a guy in India. Here we go. So happy when this notification popped on my screen. This guy right here is Nishal was from WazirX. He's the founder and CEO of WazirX. This is apparently, well, here it says it right here. The real view of crypto in India, off the chain. This is with Anthony Pompliano. This guy is the founder of WazirX, one of the most popular crypto exchanges in India. So I wanted you to be aware of this so that you could go and listen to it. I'm going to listen to it, but I want you to be aware of this because one thing that we've said here for almost 2 years now is I don't care what you hear. I don't care if you hear from China, India, Russia, whoever that says they're going to ban crypto. It's not happening. We've said it from day one. It's not happening because they're not going to let their countries be left behind. And this guy apparently is confirming it on this podcast. Okay, so go listen to that when you get a chance. From T-Hole Bedict, we haven't heard much about come out of South Africa, but apparently they are getting their regulations in order too. I'm not going to go into this, but it says South Africa to bring new crypto laws to reduce slack in currency control. Well, if they're going to bring new crypto laws, I think that it's most likely going to be somewhat favorable and at least put some guidelines in place, and that's a good thing. Now, from Stuart XRP, at XRP_Stuart, one of the best researchers in the whole space. Ripple, he just summarized some great information right here. Ripple has over 300 customers. Few examples of customers using XRP. Cambridge processes $25 billion in B2B cross-border payments annually. MoneyGram, annual $25 billion as of 2018. Mercury FX, 500 million plus volume per year. Instagram, 1.5 billion volumes on track, 5 billion this year. Imagine combined volume of the rest. Exactly. And I go back to what I told you from Swell. We literally were speaking with a banker with one of the largest banks in the world about how they could move 300 billion pounds a day through XRP and would like to, and actually wanted to talk to Ripple about it to see if they could work it out. That happened. Up and away, right? Okay. Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. And this is a very good write-up right here. Deutsche Bank reveals the real reason stock market is at all-time highs and why it can't continue. What they're talking about is stock buybacks that have been going on the last 10 years. And I think it's an important thing for you to hear and kind of get a summary of. Corporate stock buybacks are the primary driver of the epic 10-year stock market bull run since 2009, according to Deutsche Bank statistics. Companies are buying back their own stock at record pace, artificially inflating share price value. Real domestic investor inflows appears to be declining. Now, as we go down, there's all kinds of great little lines here. The biggest driver of the rally in the stock market since 2009, buybacks. And this is from a tweet here, and he's showing you in this tweet about these stock buybacks. So how share buybacks powered the longest stock market bull run in history. Since 2012, Apple has been buying back shares at the extraordinary rate of $10 billion per quarter. A year ago, it picked up pace to around $20 billion per quarter. Apple isn't alone. It says Microsoft did the same. Why do companies buy back their own stock? simply to inflate the value of their stock price. A share buyback reduces the number of outstanding shares, which increases both the demand for the shares and the price. Companies call it returning value to shareholders. Are they hiding a stock market bubble? And basically, that's an obvious answer. The buyback phenomenon is slowing down. If the bull run is driven primarily by stock buybacks, we may be heading towards a rude awakening. The pace of buybacks declined rapidly in 2019. Goldman Sachs issued a report saying the rate was plummeting, down 15% this year. A further 5% decline in stock repurchasing is expected in 2020. So I think the writing is pretty clearly on the wall there. Now, I want to show you this. Now, this is interesting. I want to go through this. Bull Run Wonka, at Willy Wonka XRP, who's also a definite follow on Twitter. Europe shaken by emerging digital currencies in China and the U.S. Lagarde was brought in to update the European settlement system, I believe. HODL XRP, Wonka knows. And he's tweeting this from fxstreet.com about Europe being shaken by the digital currencies or whatever. Well, question is, are they really being shaken by this? And he says that Lagarde was brought in. Well, I think Lagarde definitely has something to do with it. But here's another tweet I wanted to show you kind of along these lines. Now, I have to start, every time I talk about Toni Valentino, I have to give you, and I'm going to start calling it the Toni Valentino disclaimer, okay? Toni Valentino is obviously not a dumb person. The guy, if it's a guy, I'm assuming it's a guy, is obviously not someone who is stupid. This guy does a lot of interesting and intriguing tweets. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but a lot of the things I think are intriguing enough and I find them interesting enough that I show them to my audience, because if it interests me, then there's a good chance it's going to interest you. You can read it. I don't have a bunch of idiots listening to me. There are smart people listening to this. You read this, you go through it, and you decide for yourself which parts of this that you agree with and don't. But I'm not showing you this and saying I agree with every word of this. But I am saying that I agree with some of it, and I am saying that it's very intriguing, some of the things he's saying here. He says Susan Athey, and by the way, I love to mention this on this channel. Susan Athey has a cousin who lives in my town, and that cousin has a child who has literally been on my son's baseball team more than once, and literally has the last name Athey, and it's kind of interesting. It kind of shows you what a small world we live in. Susan Athey, and she's, by the way, for those of you that don't know, she's on Ripple's board. Susan Athey attended Bilderberg Group meeting in 2014 alongside Christine Lagarde and other bankers. A few months after that meeting, she joined the Ripple board. This was the takeover year. And I want to say it again, I'm not saying I agree with every word he says in here. I'm just saying it's intriguing. She knows banks have no choice, and that's why they are hungry for some Ripple tech and XRP. And he's tweeting out this from Stewart XRP, 2018, Susan Ripple, a lot of hunger from banks and central bank. She describes a meeting where Ripple had a get together and central bankers came there and how interested that they were is what she's talking about here. Then he says, after 2014, the globalist, and again, I'm not saying I agree with all of this. I'm saying that I think it's a very interesting tweet, and you can take what you want to take out of this, okay? After 2014, the globalist deep state began growing on Ripple like a cancer. Have a look at Ripple's board today. Have a look at the companies and the banks falling to the feet of Ripple. The IMF opened every door for Ripple. Brad got to attend the central bankers meeting in Switzerland. My dad's calling me. I'm going to have to put that on pause here for a second. Point is that XRP belongs to the globalists. Ripple is only custodian for now to distribute XRP as bailout for failing banks globally. XRP is being set up to become the dominant global settlement bridge asset, and this will replace the US dollar standard new world currency order. I'm not going to go through and read the rest of this. I've already read it, but I wanted to make sure that you knew it was there because a lot of this write-up is extremely interesting, folks. Okay? But here, I did want to read the last part right here. He says how it works. The Ripple board has one person representing the globalist deep state for Americas, Europe, and Asia. This is how it has always been. The Trilateral Commission keeps them together. Joel Katz and Brad get their orders from the board. Now, again, I'm not saying I believe all of this, but I am saying that a lot of it is very interesting. If you go, and then he links to the Trilateral Commission, which is trilateral.org. I looked under leadership for North America, the North American leadership, and I think it's very interesting. David Rockefeller, that Rockefeller name just always tends to pop up wherever you're talking about big money. And finally, I wanted to give Robert Thompson a shout out, and he requested a title. Okay, Robert Thompson, he's at RLT370688, and he sent me his card and said it was okay to show this. He is apparently with Coons Annapolis, Ford Lincoln dealership. And he wants to be the official e-commerce administrator of the Digital Asset Investor channel. And it just so happens that I do not have an official e-commerce administrator. And he told me that I told him that I would give him this title, and he said, great, now I can order my coffee cup. And for those of you that don't know, if you go to, Salvo Leon, I believe is the Twitter name. Go to Salvo Leon. He created a little store, and I don't make any money off of it. It's not my store, it's his store. But I told him it was okay to do. Where if you get a title on this channel, you can go to crypto-stickers.com, and he's got a page set up where you can plug in your title and you can order merch from what he does. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that my son's elf is apparently extremely bullish and has #0doubt on XRP. Thank you for listening.